America, how we doing? I'm heading south out of Italy, Texas. The last episode was out of Italy, Texas. And I thought, since I'm down this far south, I thought, well, I'd just swing by this little oddity out here. I'm going by mile marker 383 right now, and it's sitting right over there. What is it? A lot of people don't know, so I'm going to make a video and tell you what it is. Well, there it is, right over there. It is a tower. It's a Tesla tower, okay? And I can pull over here a little bit later and I'll tell you all about it, what I know about it, what I've learned about it anyway. All right, we got pulled over and I got my notes. So I can read my notes and not run over anybody. All right, what we got right over here is this big tall tower and everything, and it's a Tesla coil. Okay, it's a broadcasting tower for electricity. Well, how are you going to do that? Hey, you'll broadcast electricity through the air. That's a lightning bolt. That's pretty dangerous, and it's not very accurate where it goes, right? You know, you don't know where it's going to go. Well, it's not quite a lightning bolt, and I don't understand it myself. I'm trying to learn a little bit about this, and this is what I understand about it so far. All right, the background history on this: Nikola Tesla. We've all heard of Nikola Tesla through the Tesla cars, you know, it's named after him. Nikola Tesla was from Eastern Europe. I don't remember, or turn of the century, he was born somewhere along in there, and he came to America from Yugoslavia, Romania, Czechoslovakia, somewhere over in Eastern Europe. I don't remember where. Anyway, he comes over to America and settles in New York or New Jersey, and he goes to work for Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison had just invented the light bulb, and he needed to figure out a way to sell this light bulb to people that needs electricity. Well, I can sell you a light bulb. If you don't have electricity in your house, how are you going to use it? I need to get electricity pumped to your house. Now, how do I do that? Okay, I build a generating station and I run some wires over to your house. Well, he was working on DC electricity, okay? And the problem with DC electricity, it doesn't travel very well, okay? You put it in a line, and I throw my numbers are way off, and my dad's probably going to go crazy on this because he's an electrician. But let's say you put 100 watts in. By the time it gets over there, it's only got 10 watts. It loses all its oomph, okay? So he was trying to figure that out, and he says, okay, instead of trying to transmit long distances, let's just build small generating stations in a neighborhood. Let's say in New York City. That's where he was, you know, trying to work with, is New York City. In New York City, you have this small generator, and it only goes out 3 or 4 blocks this way and 3 or 4 blocks that way. And every 6 blocks, you build a generator, so they're scattered all over the city, and they all, kind of like cell towers do now, you know, they do this one little area. Well, that was his idea. And Nikola comes along, and he says, wait a minute, why don't you use AC? No, AC is too dangerous. It electrocutes and kills things, you know, and it's way too dangerous. I can't get that pumped into people's houses. All right, so Nikola says, no, it's fine. You can transfer it through the electricity lines, and then when it gets there, put it through a transformer and knock it down to a usable, safer voltage going into the houses. Anyway, Edison, no, he didn't want to do it. He's a stubborn man. He says, no, I don't want to do that. You know, I'm not interested in it. So anyway, they ended up locking horns, and Tesla decided to pack up and leave. He leaves and goes out on his own. He looks around for investors, and after a few years of desperation, he finally finds some backers, and one of them was J.P. Morgan. I think John Westinghouse came along, and somewhere before or after, I don't remember the order, but anyway, J.P. Morgan and John Westinghouse. Well, they come up with the idea, let's use this AC electricity and build a big generating station way on the outside of town, and then wire it by transmission lines, you know, cross-country power lines, over to the city, and then disperse it through the city. That's what we actually do today. So Tesla was right, Edison was wrong. So anyway, after doing this, their big experiment back then was Buffalo, New York. Okay, so they were using the water going over the Niagara Falls. They diverted some water over to a power plant, hydroelectric power plant up in Niagara, and made electricity, and then they had to transmit it from Niagara Falls down to Buffalo, which, I don't know, 100 miles, 50 miles, 80 miles, something like that, down to Buffalo, and then they put it in the city, and it worked. It had street lights in Buffalo. It's the first AC powered country in the world, or city in the world. So with that success, let's move on. So they started doing this in all these towns, and boy, they're making money hand over fist, and everything's working really good. And Tesla comes up with this idea of this Warden Cliff Tower. Well, it's not, I think Warden Cliff is the town that it was built in, but it's called a Warden Cliff Tower. And it's out on Long Island, New York. And this is some of his experimenting. He goes out there and builds this big old tower, and it looks like a mushroom. It's kind of, you know, looks like a big mushroom cloud, basically. Big ball on the top. And it's basically a Tesla coil, okay? And that Tesla coil, what his idea was, is build this electricity, goes up into this tower, and then broadcast it wirelessly to all the houses, or wherever you need, you know, whoever has a receiving device at the other end. Well, that's crazy. You can't transmit electricity through the air. Oh, yes, you can. He was telling everybody about it, you know. And JP Morgan dropped him. He says, nope, I'm not going to finance this. And he walked away, cut funding. Well, there's a reason. I'll tell you here in a little bit why he cut funding. All right. So he takes off and he goes to, they shut that system down up there at Warden Cliff. They tear it all down and everything. And Tesla had some money by then, and he packs up and he goes to Colorado Springs, Colorado. He gets out to Colorado Springs, Colorado, and does some research on his own out there, and eventually runs out of money. And everybody thought he was a nut and a quack out there in the boonies out there, out in the country. So anyway, it never really went anywhere, and he ran out of money, and he comes back to New York and ends up dying a broken, poor man in a hotel, in love with a pigeon. Something about genius people, they go a little nuts sometimes. So anyway, so here it is years later, or after that, after he dies, I can't remember if it was FBI or CIA, but one of the government agencies, they come in and they confiscate all his research papers. Okay, they take them and make them top secret. And nobody has access to this stuff. Well, the military does, the government does. Anyway, I guess around 2016, they were all released to the public. And there's a guy, I think he was a Navy officer, military guy. I think he was in the Navy. Anyway, he gets out of the Navy. In the Navy, he learned about this stuff. So when he gets out and he's a private citizen, he goes and he gets all these patents and gets this technology. And he's over there now trying to figure these patents out using the Tesla research paper and Tesla's idea of transmitting electricity wirelessly. Now, how would that work? That can't work. You know, there's no way that could work, because the electricity would be shooting out like lightning bolts everywhere. Well, it's not how it works. I don't understand how it works exactly, but it's not lightning bolts. It's something to do with Xenic surface wave. Okay, and the idea behind the Xenic surface wave is you build this tower, that tower over there, and then over here you build a receiving antenna. So broadcast antenna, receiving antenna. Where have I heard that before? Radio. Okay, if they can take sound waves, the sound of my voice, going through a gramophone, let's say, back in Edison's day, and they can take a gramophone and the radio, not the radio, the music coming out of that, and they can build this device, a radio receiver, or transmitter, I'm sorry, and they can turn sound waves into an electrical pulse. Okay, that electrical pulse can go up to a tower and be broadcast over radio frequencies over to a receiving tower, just like on my pickup out here, and that brings in the radio frequencies, come in, go down, and turns it back into an electric pulse, which in turn runs a speaker that turns it back into sound waves. So you're going from sound to electrical to radio to electrical to sound again. Okay, Tesla's idea was the same thing. If you can do that with sound, why can't you do it with electricity? So his idea was take electricity, put it into this big tower, broadcast it out to a receiving antenna over here. That receiving antenna will suck it in and turn it back into electricity. So you're turning electricity into a radio frequency, I think, this Xenic surface wave, and that ends up going all over the country, all over the world, maybe. I don't know. So the idea behind it was, if you could It would solve a lot of problems. First of all, you wouldn't have all this money wrapped up in all this copper wire, all these overhead power lines, okay, underground power lines. You wouldn't have to dig up all these, you know, you get rid of all that stuff. You could, okay, here's what we do right now. We have a coal mine or a gas field, okay, and or whatever, power, a raw resource. Let's say coal. Let's just go with coal. You got a coal mine up in Wyoming. It gets put on a train and shipped all the way over to, let's say, Iowa. Iowa takes it off the train, burns it in a coal-powered power plant, and turns it into electricity, and then distributes it over the whole state of Iowa. Okay. Now, Iowa is connected to Illinois and Missouri, and it's all an interconnected web of grid of electricity. But that's the idea: is you pick up your raw material here, ship it all the way across country, and then burn it, make it into electricity, and you supply your regional area. With this technology, if it works, and if you can get big enough, who knows, it might only be able to broadcast 10 feet. It might be able to go, one tower does the whole world, who knows, you know. But the idea behind it is, you don't have to build that power plant in Iowa. You can build the power plant right beside the coal mine up in Wyoming. Here, so you dig it out of the ground, put it in, bring it over to the coal mine right next door, make your electricity, and then pump it over to this tower, this Warden Cliff Tower, Tesla coil, spit the electricity all over the United States, okay, and you don't have to have all the transmission lines, you don't have to ship the coal, you don't have to, you can build this coal mine out in Wyoming away from people. There's not a lot of people living out in Wyoming for pollution reasons and stuff. It would solve a lot of problems. Maybe. Let's keep our fingers crossed this works. So, all right, what else? The safety. Okay, there wouldn't be power lines. In this research or in this article I was reading about this, about 200 people die every year from electrical shock from power lines. That's the power line workers, the linemen. But it's also people, and a storm comes along and knocks the power line down on the ground and electrocutes somebody. Car drives over, shocks you, okay? So about 200 people die from electrocution every year. That wouldn't be the case with this, maybe. I don't know. The power plants can be remote, I told you about that. Power plants can be near the fuel source, and you wouldn't have to build these power plants all over the place. You could build one right in the dead center of Africa, and ship it, transmit it all over Africa, and it would go to all these little villages that don't have electricity now, even today. You could go to an island, let's say, I don't know, New Zealand or something. Put one tower up on a mountain, supplies the whole country with one tower. Maybe, I don't know. Well, here's another possibility with it. And I thought of this myself. I don't know if this is what they're going for, but if you can transmit electricity the same way you do radio signals from a radio station to your antenna into the stereo driving down the road in your car, if you can do the same thing with a different antenna, you got an antenna on the trunk back there, and this antenna is this little thing with a donut on the back, and you're driving down the road, and this electricity is just everywhere in the world, wouldn't that antenna be able to suck the electricity in and go down to an electric motor and run an electric car without using an electric battery? You wouldn't have to have the heavy battery. You could build a car with 1 or 2 electric motors. The electricity comes in through the airwaves. Don't know, maybe. I don't know. So that way that's the big problem with electric cars is range anxiety with the batteries running out. Trying to get a battery that can last all day or multiple days, and they're getting there, but it's expensive. And you got to dig up all this material to make these, the lithium batteries. That, there's coal, the strip mining and all that stuff that goes off in the Siberia, I think, somewhere up there. Anyway, so where are we at? We got Xenix, surface wave, safety, remote, power plants, fuel source, Tesla, JP. Oh, back to JP Morgan. Why did JP Morgan pull the plug? Why did he pull the plug? Why did he pull the funding? Well, if you have a power station here and you run power lines over to your house, that comes into your house, they can put a meter on there. You following me here? You're already ahead of me, aren't you? They got a power meter on the side of your house. they can keep track of how much electricity is going into your house, and then they can charge you for it. If it's out broadcasting free out in the open airways and you've got an antenna, you put sucking in, they can't charge you for the electricity. You can't put a meter on it. So JP Morgan's like, well, how am I going to make money out of this? No. Let's keep it in these electrical lines so we can charge people. All right. Well, you'd make money probably just the power antenna, the receiving antenna, really expensive. You buy it once though, and you're done. Okay. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to come up and figure that out. But so anyway, that's why JP Morgan pulled the funding on it. For one, that was one reason. Another, I think Tesla was starting to show a little kind of his little weirdness, and people started thinking, well, maybe he's a quack. Maybe he doesn't really know what he's talking about. I think the problem was Tesla didn't have the technology that he needed. He was ahead of his time. So I don't know. With that, let me see here. I think I've covered all the bases I wanted to on this. The company that's doing this over here, it's Visiv Technology, V-I-S-I-V Technologies, and they've got a website. You can go on there and look around and see what you think. So with that, that's today's show. So y'all be good, take care, and ciao.